Hopefully. That looks like we are live. Hopefully you can hear us and you can see us. If you can hear us, Rich, if you could just pop your mic on mute because it's picking up quite a bit
Oh,
of the
yep.
backing track. So we are live. My name is Roxanne, the Globalist Anaya. This is my channel on YouTube. I'm joined tonight by 007 and Nir from Esh News over in Israel. Hopefully we'll be joined by Jin from Japan to give us the SP on what's going on in the streets over there. And tonight we're here to inform you with no bias. We're here to inform you with no expectations, nothing but the facts, hopefully. And let's get the truth together. We the people, we the voice. We are the news now. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be with us here this evening while we go through the topics that we've listed in the description for you. There's a few things going on today that I want to give a shout out before I give the boys an introduction to you all. An event that I was unable to go to today due to personal reasons is a Globe Lie meetup, which is just outside Birmingham, which is run by a wonderful lady called Charlotte Love. She does the meetups every month. She has been doing those meetups now for about 2 years. The meetup's growing from strength to strength. And I believe that she had a speaker there. So I'm going to put the link for the details for that meetup. If you're anywhere within the Birmingham vicinity and you feel like you could get along to that meetup, that's once a month. I'll put the link for the description. So shout out to Charlotte Love and all of the crew for everything that she's doing up there. Much love to you, my darling. And again, I'm really, really sorry I couldn't be there. So once that is out the way, I'm going to get into the chat room. I'm so sorry to have kept you all waiting. We were due to go live around 9:30. I had a few bits and pieces I wanted to get together. And I'm so pleased to be sat here with the boys now. 007, Nir, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing tonight, guys?
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
Well, Richie,
I'm just trying to take my microphone off mute with one finger. That's on the side. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Apart from well, we'll get into it. The current air quality at the moment in the Canary Islands is pretty poor at the moment. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good. And you, Nir, how's things for you in Hova in Israel?
The whole Israel is lovely as always. Today we actually started another round of conflict, just recently, like a few hours ago. With rockets that actually started in the morning. We'll talk about it further on. But besides that, everything is pretty okay. Yeah.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Just for the sake of the audience, if we could just say for the sake of the audience, yeah, it is pretty matter of fact with this. Yeah, today, well, we have rockets going off again today.
It's normality to you, Nir.
It actually feels like Richie is always in the battle zone, okay, with his microphone on ground and all of that. So I don't know. We all like super combat today, I guess.
It's true. You got a lot of love in the chat room, everybody. Lifting the Lid is first in the chat room tonight. Anonymous is there in the chat room. Adam Meakin, lovely to see you in the chat room as well, my darling. Marie is in the chat room. Hello, my darling. Lovely to see you. I see you guys in the chat room as well. Well done. Annette is in the chat room as well. Lovely to see you too, my darling. And further down the list, I've got Pat Riot as well. Eat 31415 is in the chat room as well. Adam Forrest is in the chat room. UK2222. James, lovely to see you in the chat room as well. You is in the chat room as well. Lovely to see you too. Jim Eldred, loud and clear. Glad to hear that you can hear us. And Mark Sargent, lovely to see you. Really, really good job that you did on ITV the other week. Very, very proud of the answers that you gave. Awesome job, buddy. And
yeah, nice one.
Yeah, big time. Tarmo Lundberg as well in the chat room. Lovely to see our European counterparts there. Jane of Torquay as well. Lovely to see you, darling. And don't want to miss anyone. John ThinkPad, good evening. Good evening to you. Sean Becker as well. Hello, my darling. The great immortal of illustrious Saga City. Hello. And Gonna Do. Lovely to see you too. That rhymed. That was good. First Munch. Yeah, that's what we're going to show you next. Dave Mordy as well. Lovely to see you in the chat room. And to anyone else who's watching, to all my anonymous watchers out there, and to all of our viewers that don't sign into the chat room, we appreciate that you taking the time to be with here as well. Double. we're going to get into, we've got a list of things to get through, and that's just a little bit of the list. There is a bit more than that for us to go through, but we thought we'd start there. There's a bit of a storm brewing, which we were talking earlier on today, actually, and you literally broke the conversation. You were like, Rox, look, I see Kalimas, but I'm going to have to go outside and I'm going to have to film this. This looks like some kind of apocalyptic madness coming my way. And shall I show the video first? Because could I actually just give a brief synopsis of what the situation is? The Canary Islands. The Canary Islands have been engulfed by an apocalyptic sandstorm. I find that ironic because that's the word you used this morning. Carrying red dust from the Sahara Desert, grounding flights in and out of the Canaries. Visibility across the likes of Lanzarote and Fuerteventura have been severely impacted by the weather, which arrived as many families tried to return to the UK from the half-term break. Overnight, all flights in and out of Gran Canaria and Tenerife have been suspended because of the sandstorm. All Calima stranding tourists who have travelled for some winter sun. Rich, you're not even really supposed to be here chatting to us right now because you're supposed to be doing a gig. So how much of this is legit and how much of this is pumped up? Is all of this actually going on just now on the island?
This is the worst. This is the worst any of us have ever seen it. The worst anybody that I know that's been here longer than me, the worst they've ever seen it. I think what they're saying is it's the worst in 20 years. And it was bad. It was bad yesterday. It was so bad yesterday I made a video, but I didn't actually finish the video because and then somebody said last night at work, oh, tomorrow's going to be worse. And well, no, a couple of days ago they said it was going to get worse and it didn't, or something. And then today I went out. I don't know what time it was. It was lunchtime, wasn't it? When I said, "Oh, this Kalima's really bad." So I went out at lunchtime, or about 12 o'clock when we were talking, I think, and
that was about the time.
And said, "Oh, this is the worst I've seen it." And then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 hours later, the sky just changed, man. It went red. Really, you can see it in the video, and the difference between the color. It was the same time of day that I was out walking, so it was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday and 3 o'clock in the afternoon today. The difference in the sky color, you can't see where the sun is at all. You've got no idea where the sun is at all. The whole sky is just like orangey, this reddy orange color, and I've got a headache. I've got my head feels clogged up with crap. All my sinuses feel clogged up with crap. I feel like I've got stuff. I can feel it on the back of my throat and on my lungs. I could feel it last night when I was singing. It affects me as a singer. I didn't want to cancel work tonight, but it makes the floor really dangerous as well because of all the dust on the floor. Makes all the steps. In the area where I work, it's a slope. The bar is on this sort of incline, so there's 2-3 sections, and there's steps up in between, and on those steps are really slippery now. So that was the reason that they told me, was because the steps are so dangerous. They have to close off the whole top section. So they said I can sit up there and play if I want. But there's not really going to be. That's the whole area that I fill up, and that's where everybody goes to go, and that's where everybody's waiting when I get there.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be honest with you. You have said a few things recently. Because you are very, very aware of your surroundings on that island. You've lived on that island for long enough to work out the patterns of order on the island, and you've said there's been a few things that have been out of play recently. The internet, the power, the water, all sorts of parts of the infrastructure have been really hit hard recently on your island, and that's out of character for the last 5 years or so, right?
It's got what, like, I mean, the problem is, so where I live now in the village, right, it was the internet access and stuff was always bad there, and then I sorted that out by getting my Vodafone contract, and I had all extra gigabytes and stuff, and the internet was more accessible. So I just didn't have the problems that I have now. It's only been since I've lost that mobile hotspot connection. That it could have always been that bad. It does surprise me. I mean, the thing is, if it was that bad for my landlord, he'd fix it. But I'm on the floor above, and I'm sort of piggybacking his Wi-Fi, and it's only been in the last. Well, it's just got worse over the last 6 months. Really, it's got worse.
For me too. I live in London, Rich. I live in London. I live in the capital city of this country, and my internet has been absolutely diabolical.
But isn't it funny?
Halo. Shout out to First Munch. The internet's been crap in here, Scotland as well. I think there's a lot of people that can relate to that, Rich. Like, I think in the last 6 months, Near, what are you saying? Like, on where you are, how reliable is the internet where you are?
No, we're good, I think, with all that we are considered, like a cyber country or cyber, empire, whatever. So we kind of like fine with the internet, but it kind of like every time that I have someone on my broadcast that have technical difficulties with his things going on, so I'm telling them that yes, it's because someone is watching us telling something true. This is why we get like the scrambles over the broadcast. So it's kind of like it feels someone is watching you in some way.
There you go. So I think retrospectively speaking, there's been a lot of things happening within the last 6 months, Richard, that people are starting to notice that's really affecting things. Now, this Kalima that's come across your islands over there in the Canaries, you said that you guys haven't seen something over there like that in about 20 years. And we're not, by the way, just so everyone watching, we're not promoting climate change. Like, none of that. I'm not down for that. So please don't try and connect this conversation to us saying global warming, climate change. We're not on that. But this Kalima is something that's self-evident. It's happening right now. It's affected the island. They are declaring a state of emergency on the island. The flights aren't coming in and out of the island. To those of you that are watching this and you're really unfamiliar with weather, Kalimas are hot windstorms that carry sand towards the Canary Islands from the Sahara, capable of lifting dust thousands of meters above the Atlantic Ocean before blanketing the region. They stem from the Saharan air layer, an extremely hot and dry layer of the atmosphere above the North African desert that overlies the cooler air of the Atlantic. When passing over the Canaries, it forms a thick fog that reduces visibility and causes breathing difficulties. People still on the islands have been advised to stay indoors and to keep windows and doors sealed. Rich. Funny how that clicks into something else that we're going to talk about later on. It's funny how the end result is still the same that we said. We said the end result was going to be windows, doors shut, told to stay in house, not be on road. It's not the corona that's done that. It's the Kalima. It's funny how similar those words are, though. It's just as I'm saying it, it sounds uncanny. The regional government has declared a state of alert, with authorities in Lanzarote capital cancelling all outdoor activities, including carnival celebrations. The entertainment industry has been hit. The travel industry has been hit. The tourism industry has been hit. They really don't seem to give a damn about any money being lost. There seems to be no love lost as far as that's concerned. Rich, are you all right if we play your video? And then you can kind of talk us through it after. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Are you guys all right with going on mute just now? Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to share my screen, share the audio, share the entire screen, share. Here we go. Share it. Lovely. Let's put it there. Let's get it on there. And here we go. Hopefully you'll hear it, everybody. Is that right? Yeah, thank you. Right, okay. Can you hear it? Hopefully you can. I'll double check the chat room. Yeah, everyone, you just have to give me a second to do this. Okay, let me try that again.
007. We need 007.
I can't hear it now.
We need 007.
Can you not hear it, Rich? Could everyone hear that? Sound was good. All right, I know what I did wrong initially, guys. Rich, could you not hear that?
No, I couldn't.
Okay, I'm going to try again.
I know what I'm saying, though. It doesn't matter so much as long as the chat room can hear it.
Okay, I think the chat room could hear it, so I'm going to just start that again if everyone's all right with that. So sorry.
Told you, technical difficulties. Reason for that.
Okay, here we go.
The world is arming faster than we can respond. Where's 007?
Wait, guys, hold on a minute here. Richard?
Good day to you. How are you doing? So, yes, I filmed a video because I thought, wow, this is the worst Kalima that I've ever seen. Right?
I thought Kalimas had been bad before. Today's the worst. Today's the worst Kalima I've seen. You can't even see the
This is nothing, man. This is nothing.
propellerators. You can't even see the propellerators because of the dust. Holy crap.
So when I say this is the worst Kalima I've ever seen, this is the worst Kalima I've ever seen. It's pretty bad, man. It's the worst I've seen it. Can't see the mountains. Can't see nothing.
We just remind you again, this was yesterday.
How the hell are the planes flying through this shit? Huh? How in the hell are the planes flying through this shit? There's some goddamn shit in the air. They say there's pieces of feces in the dust that comes from the south of Africa. And there's planes flying in the shit.
Just a disclaimer, I meant the north, not the south.
Okay, moving on.
But today I walked out onto my roof and look at this. This.
That's very low, in fact. I think you have as much dust as you like.
And it's really hot. It's really hot. This is like, there's something apocalyptic about it, man. It's crazy. Can't see the video at all. Can't even really see the propellerators. Can't even see the propellerators because of the dust. Holy crap.
fat, low and fat.
Visibility is about, starts getting funky at about 2 kilometers. I'd say about 2 kilometers. It's crazy, man. Crazy. This is what I might call an apocalyptic type sky. No filters. There's no filters on the camera. It's exactly the same settings as earlier in the day and yesterday as well.
Dust. That's very low, in fact. You can have as much dust as you like.
My goodness. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
I can feel it in my lungs. I can feel it in my mouth, in the back of my throat. As a singer, it really affects me as a singer.
My goodness.
Can't even see the plane. Can't even see the plane. That's crazy. Can't even see the plane. Can't see the propeller radars. So flights were still flying at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They were still flying. It's a bit apocalyptic, man. So that's our sky now. Oh, dust. Dust.
Hello. Dust. Anybody? No. High fat, low and fat. Dust. Anybody? No. Dust. Anybody? No. Dust.
Good way to see how much dust is in the air is to see how much dust is on the cars. All this dust is all in our lungs. It's wonderful. See the tracks in the road? It was like that on the motorway.
Can't even
It looked like that on the motorway.
Wow.
Don't know where the sun is. It should be over there somewhere. There's not even a hint as to where the sun is. Not even a hint as to where the sun is. The whole sky is... See the difference in the colour between yesterday and today? No filters and nothing, I swear. That's the actual colour difference between yesterday and today. Oh, yeah. Nano dust particulates. Nanobots. That's what it could be. Or just bits of poo. Lots and lots of bits of poo will all come from Africa. Because that's what they say is in the Kalimas, is pieces of feces. Animal feces, I imagine. I hope not human feces. That'd be gross. So, welcome to Sepia. This is Sepiaville. That is sepia colour. Like we're in an old movie or something. Alfie wants me to throw him something. Alfie, I don't want you running too much, right? Because running too much, what that will do is make you breathe too much. And quite honestly, mate, I don't want you breathing this air too much. You get me, yeah? You get me? Good boy. man. Big argument with Ali Super and Geekman store, by the way. Still not shipping my product. Not shipping what I ordered. Not saying they can send what I ordered, and also they're not saying that they can't. Just all these complications, and they won't even cancel my order properly now. So I've just lost 100 euros basically.
Look at that dust.
I can assure you I won't be watching daytime television.
Double, thank you so much for sharing that, because it's good for us to find out what's going on the ground. I'm going to let everybody know what the mainstream media is pumping out about this, and I want you to let me know if we want to fact check it, Rich. That's really what we want to do. So here we go. Clip one.
Turning the air a shade of orange, making it difficult for some people to breathe. Hundreds of people, including UK tourists on their half-term break, were stuck at airports as flights in and out of the islands were cancelled. One of them said the sand blown in from Morocco felt apocalyptic. Mel Phillips reports.
Just doing the next one now.
Hundreds of British holidaymakers are stranded on the island. The government has declared a state of alert as the dust storm, which turned the sky orange, has reduced visibility. All flights in and out of Gran Canaria Airport and Tenerife have now been suspended. But Marty O'Neill from Belfast.
Next.
The airports were closing, the board was going well, we were extremely lucky to get home. The Canaries, which are a popular tourist destination, is now choking in dust. People still on the island have been advised to stay indoors and keep their windows and doors shut.
Next one.
Out here all the time say it's a very severe Kalima, and it's been very, very hot and incredibly dusty.
So why is this happening? The sandstorms known as the Kalima regularly affects the holiday islands. It occurs when strong winds bring hot, dry air blown over from the north.
We kind of said that already, didn't we?
Events have been cancelled. And as temperatures rise, so too does the risk of fires.
The good news is, though, they do tend to pass quite quickly, so that, if the disruption that we're seeing at the moment with the flights, it should pass and people should be able to get back from half term.
A picture-perfect holiday.
And the last one.
No, Phillips.
Oh, no, that's it. That's all. That's all she wrote. So, obviously, they're kind of corroborating what you're seeing on the ground there, Double. How is it panned out now this evening? What is it looking like this evening?
The dust is actually falling, so it's getting worse. There's people that have been walking in the club and they've got scarves wrapped around their mouths. They've had scarves wrapped around their mouths. I actually brought a scarf out with me because it just seemed like maybe you need to cover your mouth in this crap. It is really, I've never really considered it before, but I think if I was to get one of those white, those medical masks, if you were to put one of those on and walk around for the day, not take it off, what the what would it look like at the end of the day? Like, it'd just be red, wouldn't it? Just all the dust that you're breathing in.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought that was a bit dodgy was that they were trying to incite fires to come after. And as you know, as you've said already, Kalimas are not a new thing. They're quite a regular thing. I mean, in all the time I've known you, you've mentioned Kalimas a few times, right, Rich?
No, but I'll tell you what, right? When I first got on the island, it's 5 years ago this year. When I first arrived on the island, for the first 2 years, I didn't see them spray a single chemtrail, and Kalimas happened maybe once a month. They started spraying chemtrails 2-3 years ago. The weather's changed, and now we're getting Kalimas. Now you're lucky if you get a couple of days in the month where there's good visibility.
Crikey.
Like now we'll get 3 or 4 Kalimas a month instead of just one.
So the frequency of them has gone up,
more
definitely.
intense. Yeah, and the intensity's gone up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we thought it would be worthwhile covering this because it's something that's ongoing on the island that you live on right now. I'm always concerned when I see multiple news agencies pumping out the same story because, as I've said, Kalimas are nothing out of the ordinary. There's something that, you know, like there's a lot of people that are concurring in the chat room just now going, it's no big deal. It's not news. What concerns me is that it has made the news. That's what's concerning me. Sky News, BBC News, the Daily Mail, you name it. It's in the thumbnail. I've shared it in the thumbnail. I'll share it again. I'll show you the headlines, multiple headlines talking about the Kalima like it's something out of the ordinary. But as I said,
it's not out of the ordinary. It's just the level of it, like how thick the dust is now. That is out of the ordinary. This is apocalyptic. Yeah, that's all. That's the only words that come to my mind because it's like I said, it's like
it came to mind, and it's the same word that the mainstream media are using, and I'm like,
it's the name that came to mind. You know, at 3 o'clock this afternoon when I went outside. That was the real, and that's why I ended up saying it like 3 times or something. But it was like. Yeah, it's just like on Mars or something. I think somebody's actually put a comment up saying it's like Mars. It's like.
Well, how many times has the Kalima cancelled your gig? Actually, there's a better question.
Never.
How many times has the Kalima?
Never.
Has the Kalima ever affected your ability to work?
Never. No, it's affect. I mean.
When was the last time your
ability to sing
declared a state of alert
for a Kalima?
Yeah.
Well, I think they did it 20 years ago.
So there we go, and that's what we thought we would bring you instead of fear mongering and doing, you know, what the mainstream media are doing. We thought we'd let you know what's going on alongside the narratives that are being put out, which brings me neatly on to the next one that we're going to talk about, Rich. We're going to move on to Nir's section. So if it's all right with you, Double, if you could pop your mic on mute briefly. I'm going to talk about something else that's come out within the last few hours on mainstream media. Again, multiple MSM, as we know, MSM's the enemy of the people. I feel that there's nothing but pure disinformation amongst the MSM, and the fact that they tell us anything at all alarms me. I put out my opinion about what I feel about the MSM, so please don't take me as quoting the MSM as me buying into it. I'm representing both sides and saying, look, this is the narrative that's being put out, and then trying to have boots on the ground in the said area that the mainstream media are talking about to get the real side of what's going on. Nir is an individual that lives and has been brought up in the country, and we're going to talk about the narrative. And the narrative being the Gaza. I say conflict, but it's ongoing. Yeah, Gaza Strip. Yeah, Israeli bulldozer rests Gaza militant's body found from Palestinians. A failed attempt to plant a bomb at the border cost a Palestinian militant his life, but the seizure of his body drew harsh criticism within Israel. Apparently, a macabre tug of war over the body of a Palestinian militant on the Gaza-Israel border. Apparently captured on Sunday on a video in broad daylight, apparently. left another man wounded, prompted a round of rockets from Gaza, and drew harsh criticism from fellow Israelis. You're gonna mention Bibi here as well. I took a few notes down. Yeah, I was taking notes. You're going to talk about the fact that, the coincidence of it being, obviously we know they're puppet masters. We've discussed that before, but it just happens to be before the election. This has happened countless times before, hasn't it?
Yeah, not a coincidence whatsoever, but I want to first to start, I guess, with a statement. Okay, I will just bombard it like that with a statement that you talked about Gaza Strip, but yes, it's all related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that we keep hearing on the mainstream media, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go with the first statement of this of my saying tonight is that there is no conflict between Israeli people and Palestinian people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you just read the articles right now about people starting shooting each other, and we have it for like another 100 years if you go backwards, more than 100 years. And I want to elaborate a little bit about this statement that I gave, that there is no conflict between the two people, because if we go like further to the back, we will see that I don't see like a regular man, a regular person in anywhere in the world that is actually wants to fight another person without someone telling him to do so. Would you agree with me, Roxanne?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the Palestinian people and the Israelis are like having a conflict in a sense that they want to annihilate each other, that they can't live with one another, that they can't just sustain a relationship with one another. Because from my personal perspective, my personal experience, I never met an Palestinian, Arab Israeli, whatever, that I wanted to kill him just for him being, Arab Israeli. And same goes like vice versa. With the other side, I never met any Arab Israeli or Palestinian that want to kill me because I'm Jewish or Israeli. And it looks weird to me that we keep having this conflict, and you keep saying that there were like people involved over here in the incident that happened today. And yes, these people also were told by someone to go and fight one another, and that goes to show that it's pretty much of a politician war, okay? And besides that, it's a politician war. It brings you up to the further conclusion that you got if you're saying it's all a puppet show and they're all puppet masters or whatever. It's like. I think that lots of people, both sides, and also with the people that are kind of like sponsoring this conflict. I'm referring to first off the people that started this conflict 100 years ago. That it was the British Empire, of course, and France, and afterwards, after World War II, it's the United States. So the people that started this war and the people till the end of this day are people that are gaining from this conflict, okay? And who are those people? Mainstream media, of course.
Mm-hmm.
If we won't have a conflict, so they won't have anything to broadcast, I think. Politicians, for certain, okay? They won't have a real job or real issues to go to elections with if we won't have a conflict. And I don't want to mention even, of course, it's very obvious, military industries, all kinds of, all the, of course, medical industry that comes out of it, all the other industry that gain out of, I guess, this situation. And this is my conclusion is that these people just want to sustain this situation, this permanent conflict that will happen. Because if you see like other conflicts in the world that happened in the last 100 years, you'll see that all of them kind of like ended, okay? And it has a reason, that they're ended, because I guess one side conquered the other, one side won or whatever. And in all those conflicts, it was pretty much, you know, they wanted to conquer or whatever. They succeeded. They did not succeed. War ended. But here, why doesn't it end? Because people are interested that this conflict would happen. I guess this conflict is kind of like a micro example of the bigger conflict that they want to produce to the world. Okay, with this mini production of this reality show that we got over here in Israel, we got the grand production of you know. USA versus Iran, East versus West, I know Islam versus Christianity, whatever they want to call it. And over here in this, I know micro conflict that we got, it's kind of like reflect on all the others, and you can see that the way that they are sustaining this situation is to support sometimes one side, one time to support the other side, and give the one side a boost over here, a boost over there, and this is how we sustain it. And also it goes to show with like critical moments in Israel history that you see that each time that the situation was really crucial and was about to end, something happened. Okay, something happened and prevented it. Okay, that this situation will keep on going. In the Yom Kippur War, there was like the Syrians attacked Israel and got into the Golan Heights and countered parts of Israel, and then Israel counterattacked, got into Syria and almost reached into Damascus. But for some reason they didn't got into Damascus because I don't know the narrative that they told of that they felt sorry for them or whatever. Okay, or sometimes it's the international community that kind of like stops Israel from annihilating whatever. The scenario goes like this. Each time we got like an incident, we got like rockets from the Gaza Strip. This is the incident that's happened lately, and we got like a few fighting days. Usually when you have all those rockets, people in Israel are saying, oh, tomorrow Gaza Strip is going to be flat down because of these rockets, but it doesn't happen. Okay, it doesn't happen. You just, Israel keep fighting, and then we have a ceasefire, and whatever, that's it, next round. And this next round, it's always like keeps this situation very permanent. Anyway, and this gets us, I guess, to the mini reality show that we got like over here in the last year in Israel in the elections. I got that reality show because this is how it is. It's first of all, elections in democratic countries are supposed to represent first of all different agendas of right and left, and things which are matters between right and left. Economy, religion, security, things that that usually are the topics of elections. But here, especially in these three last elections that happened in the last year, it was nothing about agenda. Okay, no agenda at all. People are just talking about who's going to be the prime minister. Is it going to be Bibi or not Bibi? Yes, Bibi. No, Bibi. Yes, Bibi. No, Bibi. And this kind of like, again, and this is like the reality show, okay? Exactly made like a reality show. Because all that matters is like eventually he's going to be the prime minister. but this is kind of like, there's like two levels of deception over here, of conspiracy, whatever. First off, I'm going to talk about Bibi. He got really serious allegations about all kinds of corruption that he did in the recent years, and for the last 2 or 3 years, people are just saying, "Oh, Bibi, he's got these allegations. This is one side. The other side says no. It's all like a conspiracy of the mainstream media and the courthouse and the law enforcement. They all join up together in order to take him down." So this is the first level conspiracy. The second level of conspiracy is that it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if like there will be like right wing or left wing governing over here. The events, the things are going to happen. Okay, one way or another, things are going to happen with that government or with that government, because whoever is scheduling these events, okay, is not the prime ministers. Okay. At least not the ones of Israel, okay? At least not the ones of Israel. So it doesn't really matter who will be in the head of this country, and this is what they only fight about. Okay, nothing with agenda, only like the people, and this is simply supposed to be, democracy, ruling of the people, voting of the people, whatever. And this is pretty much it. And this third election that happened, I want to explain a little bit how it works over here in Israel. In a nutshell, we got like 120 seats in the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, and you need to have the majority of 61 members in the coalition in order to form a government. And what happened in the first election that were this year, it was like in April, April 2019. And over there, Benjamin Netanyahu got, I think, the majority of the votes, and he got the majority of the votes from the right side of the political parties. And from some reason, there was one party over there that didn't want to join up the coalition, and shifted right before he was managed to construct this coalition. And what happened is that this party kind of like said that they didn't want to be in the coalition with the religious parties. So they kind of like created this whole mess that a coalition can't be formed. If the other side, the left-wing parties, will need to form a coalition, they need to join up with the Arab parties. And this is a thing that also not really can happen. And this is so we are like stuck in a dead end. And they thought that first time it didn't work, second time didn't work, third time it must work. I don't know. Okay, still skeptical. People today are talking about fourth elections, of course, but it's kind of like funny for us, following Freemasonry signs. So we got like, the third election were supposed to be happening like on 3rd of March. Okay, and so we got 3-3-3, and I think that then someone thought that it was a little bit too obvious. Okay, so they changed it to the 2nd of March, but they still kept like the actual results will be known only on the 3rd of March. So this is the actually crucial day. So they still kept it as the 3rd of March. Anyway, this is just a mini conspiracy over here.
I love getting your perspective on this, Nir, because as I said, most of us have only got what the propaganda machine, Operation Mockingbird, is giving us, and to get a boots on the ground perspective that isn't from the enemy of the people, be it mainstream media, is really quite refreshing, if you understand where I'm coming from. I think there's quite a few people in the chat room that are hearing this perspective from the first time. And can you just, for anyone that's new to this, there may be a few people, and maybe Rich should do the same, because I can definitely see a few new names in the chat room. Could you just give us the viewers a little bit of background about yourself, Nir? Where have you been born? Where have you grown up? Where have you been schooled? And tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm pretty much of a normal Israeli, I think. I was born over here in Israel, the city of Rehovot, and been to high school, been to the Israeli military. I served the Israeli intelligence, very secret unit, whatever, and I would elaborate on that. And after that, I learned media, and over there in my media studying, it was kind of like, I think it was the first awakening that I got. I know the sleeping that I got once I went over to learn in media school, which was kind of like, it was considering itself kind of like unmainstream, like pretty much of like, you can do whatever you want over here in the media, but it was kind of like found out that this was kind of like just a slogan, not really in reality over there. And this is kind of like a thing that got me, I will tell you the story, I think I told you about it before, with me starting broadcasting on the radio over there. There was like a slogan on the radio station, we don't suck up to anyone, okay? And I said to myself, yeah, okay, this seems like a good place for me. And I went right in and got myself a show, and they gave me a broadcast time on Saturday afternoon. And I told myself, yeah, okay, I will do it. And I went to the studio. I said, yeah, I feel like playing now. hardcore techno. I will do it right now. Yeah, and check. All right. And then on Sunday, one guy's in charge of the radio over there. He was like telling me, "Hey, I heard that you played hardcore techno on Saturday afternoon." And I told myself, "Yeah." Told me, no. People on Saturday afternoon have to rest. He's down. Put him some chill out, something easy. I told myself, hey, just a second. This was my truth. This is what I want to do in this particular moment. And then I took him like outside. I told him, yeah, we have this slogan over here. We don't suck up to anyone. How did that really counter with what you said to me right now? And then I kind of like understood that I will be always out of the frame in the media. And this is... it was kind of like a down moment for me. Okay, media was always my passion, and I kind of like decided to let it go. I went on doing in my professional life all various other things, and the kind of like the awakening came at last, like about a year ago, that I started the awakening of the flat earth, whatever. We feel we started like 2 years ago, but about a year ago, I started with doing all the media shows of Esh News, and this was kind of like my opportunity to start off my own thing, and without someone that I will have to counter with the content that I'm giving, the things that I say, the way that I do it, and was I know great opportunity for me. I don't have any money or budget or whatever to do that, but fine, and we'll do it. I will do it my way, and this was like my goal with my Esh News channel that me and my partner put together. And about like Israeli media and the mainstream media in Israel is very, very similar to the one of the United States. This is what I followed throughout my years when I saw the difference between like CNN and Fox News or whatever. I saw like the Israeli mainstream media is pretty much the same. Okay, very, very, very on the left-wing side, but this is also like a part of the game. Okay, and I wanted to also like to attach this a little bit to what Richie said before. What you started saying before, when we have these disasters, these natural disasters, supposedly natural, okay, we always think as truthers is like, okay, these things happened by coincidence, or it happened for a reason, or a particular reason, or a reason that someone really wanted it would happen, okay, and then you started to think of the reasons. Okay, it's a thing that any reasonable man will do, to think of the reasons, but us truthers are getting into really remote places with that one, and I think that for this thing, this storm, this sandstorm that Richie mentioned, and probably going to soon talk about the corona, of course, it's all kind of like you can't find the reason. Okay, you can't really find the reason. You can look at the chemtrails, trails in the sky, whatever, but you can't find like the reason or what it really is. But you can see, but you can figure out the connection. Okay, you said yourself, corona, kalima, whatever. Disease,
I don't believe in coincidences. I really don't believe in coincidences.
Yes, of course, there
I genuinely don't. And prior to this, while Richie's video was playing, I did a quick survey in the chat room of people that buy into coronavirus, and I'm pleased to say the majority of the chat room do not buy into the coronavirus hype. But there was one individual in the chat room that said prior they were convinced, then they became not convinced based on lack of evidence of what the mainstream media is pumping out. So bit of a disclaimer here, I don't buy into the coronavirus. I do not believe one iota of what I'm being told. That statement just in its own right, though, could quite easily be taken out of context. I will explain here, and I will be chiming in on another live stream later on this evening, which I will give you the link for. I've been invited, I've been invited to go and speak on another channel about said topic. And because I have an opinion, quite a specific opinion, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to speak my mind. And it is just my I would say it is just my opinion, but it isn't just my opinion. It's my opinion based on a lot of information that I feel that goes beyond coincidence. It all kind of ties up into something else, and I'd like to delve into it a little bit. I'd like to give a little bit of a segue into it, because I think a lot of people are talking about it, and I think a lot of people are quite opinionated about it. So again, where there's 70 people watching just now, if you believe what you're being told about the coronavirus, please press 1. If you do not believe what you've been told about the coronavirus, please press 2. So if you do believe what you've been told about the coronavirus, press 1. If you don't believe what you've been told about the coronavirus, please press 2.
I never believe.
By all means, you more than have the right to reply. So put your comments in the chat room. I would like to state that I do feel, like I said, if that statement was just to be used by itself, I feel it would be taken out of context. I don't buy into the COVID-19 outbreak. I don't believe that there is this virus that they're stating that there is. However, I am starting to see evidence that they are locking down cities. However, it is going to take quite a while to explain it, but that does tie into a lot of other things. I do have source material and evidence to tie it to that. So that does it again. It doesn't buy in. I don't buy into the virus. I don't believe there's a virus, but I definitely feel there's this massive disinformation campaign for something much bigger, like much bigger. Like you would really have to expand your thinking. If you thought leaving the ball was a reach, wait till you get a load of this one. So yeah, on that one, I say that because it was a reach for me. It was a reach. When I mean it was a reach, it was like a leap and a reach at the same time, because I had to kind of go back a bit. I had to put a couple of more dots together, and I had to start realizing that I couldn't deny what was in front of me. And I realized that in order for that to happen, that would need to happen. But what would be the and then this happened, and I went, good job. Good job,
so
buddies.
Buckle up, buckaroos.
Yeah. And so I'm going to yield the floor, because I can talk. Sometimes I don't let people get word in edgeways. I am pleased to see a lot of 2s in the chat room. Don't worry if you're a 1. You may have just been caught up in the hype. It's understandable. There's a lot of hype. So the latest narrative is that Italy has locked down several towns. Italian authorities announced on Sunday that events related to the famous Venice Carnival would be stopped, as the country reported 3 fatalities from the COVID-19 virus in 48 hours. I've got a funny feeling Uncle Sam's going to start up the propaganda machine. An official from the Lombardy region announced on Sunday afternoon that a 3rd person had died from the novel coronavirus in a country, making Italy the first European member state to have a national die from COVID-19. Authorities have revealed on Saturday that a 75-year-old woman has died, which followed the death of a man 78 from Veneto. Guys. They're starting to put places on lockdown.
I would just like, it would be very interesting to look back last year, how many people died in a 1-month period in that age bracket from similar symptoms to the coronavirus, because it was a cold that turned into the flu, and then they died of the flu. Because the flu kills. Flu's got actually quite a high mortality rate when you compare it to the coronavirus. So,
all right. So let me ask you a question. Do you actually buy into the fact that people are actually dying from this? I'm not saying I do or don't. I just want to ask a question.
Right.
In the chat room as well. Chat room. Do you buy into the fact that people are dying from this?
I'm not saying that. Right. I'm not buying into it. What I'm saying is, lots of people die from cold flu type things, or elderly people, because the people that you're talking about were all elderly. They're all the people that, are most at risk with anything like this anyway under normal circumstances. So what I'm saying is, if we were to compare the death rates of cold and flus amongst the elderly and compare them to the death rates of the coronavirus just in these months, right? What are the similarities going to be? How much correlation is there going to be between the two? I wonder if they're just passing off some of the deaths that have been happening anyway, but they're just saying, oh, yeah, this was coronavirus. You know, because they're saying it's the coronavirus because the coronavirus covers everything, every common cold that can turn into the flu. Because they're saying now that after 4 weeks, it could, you know, it could be just fairly mild symptoms that suddenly turn deadly.
Yeah, but for me, I think it's all a show. So for me, the simplest answer for me would be, okay, how do you get a load of people to voluntarily self-isolate in their properties?
Yeah, right? But what I'm saying,
how do you bring infrastructure
to
a ground halt? How do you bring international flights to a ground halt? How do you do that? How do you stop freedom of movement?
with a pandemic? You do that with a pandemic. So what's the easiest way to say that you've got a pandemic would be to cite deaths, right, that are related to that disease or virus or whatever it is. But if that disease or virus is a common thing anyway, and the deaths have always been occurring every year, it's just they haven't been reporting them as that thing, right? Now they've put a label on it and called it the whatever it is, right? And they're saying that people are dying of that now. It's that particular strain of the coronavirus. Because there's hundreds of different coronaviruses.
I think,
so are they just using that? I think they might just be using figures that were already, they're just normal figures for people that are dying of these sort of symptoms every year. Because in the elderly, because you hear about elderly people dying of the flu every year. They've been going around trying to jab them with the flu jab every year.
This one is being international. Like the whole international community is watching this, right?
Yeah.
The whole international community is on this one story. Yeah. This of almost Virus X. Yeah. If you remember, I don't know if some of the viewers remember this, but I remember on my Pursuit of Truth, I came across a few years ago something called Virus X. And if you look at some of the mainstream media reports, they're putting out, it's starting to tick all the boxes of Virus X. But for me, something that some of my viewers may know that I've spoken about before, Rich, you already know, Nia, you already know, and shout out to anyone who paid attention, but myself, Ollie, even Ollie speaks a lot as well. We've spoken a lot about the cabal, okay? We've spoken a lot about the cabal, whatever way you want to say it. The elites, the puppet masters, the ones that have been in control, the malevolent, not benevolent, malevolent forces that have been in control for a very, very long time. Rich, could you pop on mute real quick?
Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, I'm like, sorry, bro, I was trying to shout over it. So the malevolent forces that have been ingrained for a very, very long time never, ever thought they were going to lose control. And if what we're seeing right now is the international systemic demise of the old guard, be it the cabal, then obviously those people are fighting for their lives, quite literally. If the loss of control has happened and we're watching the systemic demise of those people, then internationally they are fighting for their lives, literally fighting for their lives. So in my mind, if you were to capture multiple dangerous animals internationally and you were trying to keep the collateral damage of humans, us, to a complete minimum, you would have to bring everything to a complete halt in order to go in, extract, and then let everyone resume again afterwards with the least amount of damage possible. Obviously, the ones that are on the run, they're going to want to cause international havoc in the meantime. And I think that's what we're getting caught up in now. Is
we already know that. We already know that they give a flying
monkey about us. Not
monkey
at all.
about collateral
Not
damage.
at all.
Collateral damage to them is, you know, because we're just the
Exactly.
chattel. So
Right, we're the sheeple. That's all we are.
By the
So
way, I heard
if the malevolent were being taken out of guard, and it could be quite possible the malevolent are being taken out of guard by people that actually do care about us, possibly. And if that is the case, if they are going to try and push for a pandemic, if they are going to try and push for...
Jen's saying in the chat now, everyone, they are moving the virus to pandemic state.
Yeah, right. So
they're doing it
they're
now.
pushing for a pandemic. They're going to push for a pandemic because they need to incite international martial law, medical martial law, some are calling it, okay? Once medical martial law has been incited, they're going to be able to force everybody to stay in their properties for a month, yeah? Once they make everybody stay in their properties for a month under martial law, the only people that have clearance to be on the streets are military. The military will replace the infrastructure, the basic infrastructure that each country needs. National Guard will be implemented so that basic infrastructure will happen. People will be taken care of if that is the case, but it won't be because of a virus. The virus is the cabal. The virus is the satanic cult of the cabal that have been in control for a long time. The virus will be removed, but it's not the virus that we're being told. It's not the virus that we're being told. Uncle Sam will eventually put propaganda videos out, probably trying to scare tactic people into thinking, yeah, you know what? I can see military above my head. This coronavirus thing's real. I better stay in my house. But it's not because of the coronavirus. It's not going to be because of that. That's my personal opinion based on what I've seen. I genuinely think we're all looking at being told to stay in our house for at least a month, maybe more.
By the way, do you know why the name Corona was picked?
Say that again.
Do you know why the name Corona was picked?
Go on.
Corona, it's a crown in Spanish. Okay.
Yeah.
Corona, and Corona, it's like, guess who has a crown? Of course. Yeah, the kings, you know who they serve, and they also, it's like a symbol for a crown. It's also it's always like a symbol for the sun, and you know who the god worshippers are. Yeah.
You see, Rich, what's your take?
The coronavirus is a term depicting these sets of viruses has been around since the 1980s. In the American Medical Association Encyclopedia for Medicine, listed coronavirus is the common cold. It's been in there for a long time. We've known about it for a really long time. They've been trying to weaponize it for a really long time, and it seems like they've done it. They've done it to a particular strain. They've weaponized the strain of it, and they're using it. They're using it to target people. If there are actually people dying of the coronavirus, this particular strain, there's people that they've specifically targeted. They're not people that have caught it accidentally. They've caught it on purpose. They've been given it.
You see, I think this is what makes it interesting, because everybody's got their own personal opinion based on what they've seen. Everyone's got their own perspective on this, and that's why I find it so interesting. I really do. I love hearing everyone's perspective on this. What do you think is going to happen over the next few weeks?
Richie?
I honestly wouldn't like to speculate on it. I actually don't know. I've got no idea what's going to happen, because here, in the Canary Islands, here we live in a bubble. We're in a bubble that's slightly outside of the European Union, so there's certain things that we don't enjoy that other people in the European Union do enjoy, and that some people thought that they would enjoy being here, but because it's technically not part of the European Union, they've adopted the currency. That's all. It means that it's not. It's a bubble. We live in this bubble here. They're a law unto themselves, really. So when I start seeing an increase of military, and I've seen more military already this year than I've ever seen before, just on the motorway, on the TF1. So if I see an increase in military here, then yeah.
Well, all of the mainstream media are pointing to pandemic. I'm looking at the New York Times, Washington Post. Once you see the mainstream media all jumping on it, you realize it's a narrative that's going to get played out.
I want to touch this for a second about the media. You can see that also the size of the proportion of every kind of like disease like that. It's kind of like settled by the media. Okay, they are the ones who are like broadcasting it, and you can't really know what is reality. Okay, they are the ones who like provide the data. Richie asked before to show you the data of last year, but what does that matter? Okay, because the also all the data, I think, should be I know can be fake or not, but I think that you should really pay attention of how much proportion they give it in this inside the media frame. Okay, inside like 1 hour of news. Okay, how much time does it takes, and this is how much they want to, this exact amount, this is how much they want to affect us. Okay, with this thing, and it not even close to what's happening in reality. Okay, either to that side or to that side. Okay, and I think that the way that the media always pushes it forward, you can actually see what their motives and what's going to be, I guess, next. Now you kind of like asked what's going to be with that in the next few days or weeks.
Yeah,
I actually believe in their old method of the people running things, which is, I guess, order out of chaos. Okay, to create a situation, and this also like relates to what I said before about the conflict. To create a situation that you can maintain it for a long time, that people will be stressed with that situation, and then when people are stressed, who are they going to turn to in order to to ease their stress? They're going to turn to the media, they're going to turn to the politicians, and they are the ones who actually are the ones who are creating that. We all know that it leads to the same source. Okay, so well
said. Well, I'm pleased to say that we are going to be hearing a lot more of you. We're going to have you on regularly, and we're going to hopefully have Dolly on next time at some point. She wasn't available this evening, so we are going to try and have a mix of people. And Jin wasn't able to click the link and make it work this evening. And there are a few other people that we've reached out to that we're going to get boots on the ground and give you a feel for what's really going on. But for this evening, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I know your CAF's about to shut down. We've been going for about an hour, and I wanted to keep this at a manageable timeline for everybody. So it's just an hour, because I know the last time I went live, it was like 4 hours. Me and Dolly did talk a lot, 4 hours worth. But yeah. Again, I want to thank everybody in the chat room for putting their 2 cents worth in there and having an opinion. I massively appreciate you all taking the time to be here while we've gone through these topics. Use discernment as you're being fed information. Definitely try to be a critical-minded, independent thinker. Think for yourself. Look at all of the information that's presented in front of you. And yeah, just try and stay strong through this. There's a lot of madness going on out there. There's a lot of crazy information and fear mongering going on. Just try and stay true to yourself. That's all I can kind of say on that. Guys, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to say a big shout out to the chat room. Thank you very much, guys. Joe Eldred, Robin, Gunnar, Stan, Jin, all of you guys, man. Kieran. Even the people that I kicked out a couple of people because they just they were parroting paradigms and asking stupid questions when they'd only just 2 days ago created their account. So I haven't got any patience for trolls, man. I haven't got any time for anybody that's going to try and disrupt or lag the conversation with bullshit questions. So sorry, and sorry for kicking the person out for parroting Jesus stuff.
No worries.
That's not what this chat was about. So
I massively appreciate your input. Massively appreciate your input, Double. And again, I'm going to give the chat room a shout out. Jim Eldred, William B. Cool, Kieran, Maggie Ray, Ricardo, lovely to see you. Eat still in the chat room as well. Adam Meakin, cheers for being here, buddy. Pat Riot as well. Earth is Flat, Zest Plaska. Thank you so much for being in the chat room as well. Lifting the Lid, Robin, lovely to see you too. Gonna do Stan Smith, lovely to see you in the chat room, my darling. Jin CBR1, thank you for giving us the word from Japan. No one's on lockdown in Japan just now. Everyone's free to do what they were doing. But then Jim put in another update saying that they've raised it to a pandemic. So we will try and get Jin back on the next one to give you the SP of what's going on there. Coincidence that Wuhan was a 5G test city. Again, I think that might be all part of the narrative that's being pumped out. Symphony of Souls, Steve Bally as well. Thank you so much for being here, my darlings. And scrolling up, Paul from Newcastle. Lovely to see you as well. No comment. You is still in the chat room as well. Malav Cocktail in the chat room. Ranty Flat Earth. Speaking of Ranty, yes, please message me in a bit. And he's going live to talk about various things as well. I'm going to go on there and give my 2 cents worth on Ranties as well. Lovely to see you in the chat room. FPV in the chat room as well. And the great immortal of Illustrious. Lovely to see you too. Stacey B. And who else? I'm scrolling up. I can't look at all the comments there. There's a lot of comments there. Adam Forrest. Just trying to make sure I don't miss anybody out.
Steve Bailey, mate. It's observably flat.
John
Just can I just say,
observably
flat. Always that.
Disease. Sorry, go on.
Observably flat.
Paige as well in the chat room, and Marie. If I've missed anybody out, I'm just going to go to the bottom because it says new comments. Mystical, Try D, lovely to see you as well. And Deborah Rondu.
Try D, dude. Try D. I'll be in touch, mate. I'll be in touch, dude. I want to speak to you.
Tom Griffin as well in the chat room too. So lovely to see you all in the chat room. This has been myself, 007, Near from SUs, giving you what on earth is going on live. And we will I'll try and come back on Tuesday evening, actually. I'll do my best to kind of adhere to that, Near. If you're available. If you're not available Tuesday evening, we'll maybe pre-record something and play it.
Anywhere, anytime, I'm yours, Roxanne. That's the law. Yeah.
Perfect.
And I want to
thank
you and Richie for welcoming you over here in the Really Walk Show. It was a really big pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also thank to everyone in the chat room, of course. People that I know, of course, Adam Meakin over there and Robin and all the rest. I forget. Anyway,
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Big pleasure.
Absolutely fantastic. Near 007, thank you so much, my darlings. Chat room, thank you, Ben Ace. Go over to Ranty's channel and he's doing a live just now. If there's any mods, pop a link to the Ranty Flat Earth's channel as he's about to go live, and I'm about to go on there to give my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Actually, yeah, he said didn't he say you and your crew? If there's when I get home,
there's a seat at the table.
If there's a seat at the table, yeah, just
I'll message him. All right, my darlings. I will be back on Tuesday. Stay safe until then. See you all soon.